Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Monday, the third day of August. Here we go. Today, I just want to wrap up a loose point that we left from the 15th of Av. I hope you're not tired of hearing about the 15th of Av, which was back on last Friday. We had given you the very interesting reason, one of them, for why we celebrate the 15th of Av, and that was because the people of Beitar had not been allowed to be buried until after the massacre, many years later, and then finally, when they were allowed to be buried, none of the bodies had decomposed, and so two great things had happened. The bodies were given permission to be buried. None of the bodies had decomposed, which was an amazing miracle, and so it marked the festivities of the 15th of Av, and for that we added a fourth bracha to Bentching forever, the one called Hatov V'Hametiv. Well, maybe the question is screaming out at you the way it is at me, and some people have been asking it, and I just heard a very beautiful pshat in it, and I wanted to tell it to all of you, and it's this. So that's a pretty gruesome event. Bodies that couldn't be buried, bodies that didn't decompose. So it's definitely a miracle. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like a reason for the 15th of Av. It doesn't seem like a reason to add a fourth bracha to Bentching forever. We didn't add a bracha to Bentching forever because of like Hanukkah or Purim. So what is it with this unusual incident that we consider it so festive, so like worthy of a holiday, and so worthy of changing our Bentching forever because of it? So the Meshech Chachma gives this beautiful explanation, and it is this. He says, when a Jew is Bentching, and he says the first three brachas of Bentching, they all mention the beautiful land of Israel, especially the third bracha, which mentions Bonei V'Rachamav Yerushalayim Amen, God, so speedily rebuild Yerushalayim. And he just feels like, oh, it gets so depressing just Bentching because you're talking about all these great things and the great beautiful land, and we're not there, and we're scattered in diaspora, and we want to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. And someone once stabbed himself in sadness while saying the bracha of Bonei V'Racham Love Yerushalayim Amen, because we're just dispersed in Galus, and it's just so sad to talk about Yerushalayim when we don't have it. So the Meshech Chachma says that when the Jews had lost Beitar, and that horrible massacre happened, and yes, the incidents of it were horrible, the Jews had that feeling of we're in Gullus and we're just smashed and we're ruined and God is not with us and it's all over. When that amazing miracle of Beitar happened, that 15 years later none of the bodies had decomposed, that was God's way of saying, I'm with you here in the diaspora also. That's the key point right there. I'm with you here in the diaspora also. When we get that message from God, that heartens us because it says, yes, we're in Gullus. Yes, things happened were horrific, but God just gave us a gigantic sign that He's with us through it all, and that weathers all storms. Just knowing that God is with you is such a tremendous thing, and that's why we're festive about that. God's with me in this sadness, and that's why we add a fourth bracha to Bentching forever, saying it's good, God is with me. If God is with me, everything will be good. Gam zu l'tova. And that's the beautiful pshat, and why, although it was a horrific event, but having God with you here in the diaspora during the horrific things is an assurance that God will take us out of this galus. God is with you all the time, and it's all for the good. And for this we say the bracha forever in Bentching of Hatov V'Hametiv. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.